So let's see what's going on here. I'll tell you something. Gardening is the best therapy in the world. You get something out of it. It keeps you busy, and I really enjoy it. You know what? I'm going to plant this. That's just a cutting I did, left it in the dog kennel. Nobody ate it, and even that, those are canas coming up in the soil. I'm going to pull them out and plant them. Well, they'll end up to be 6-7 feet plants, but here I'm going to take this cutting of a tree collar, drop it in this big pot with open holes on the bottom, and I'm going to plant. This is Robbie from Southern California. The chair garden's going really good. I'm not sitting around doing nothing. I'm actually planting plants, moving things in the garden. I'm just kind of taking some time for myself and reflecting also. And talking to my mom every day and organizing things with my brother. Wow, you know what amazes me? We're gonna get cold, and that's okay. We're gonna be in the 40s. We don't get snow. We could. We have once before, but I'm looking around at the truck bed that is so green. And what's growing in there? I have got pot marigold. Oh, purslane. I've got purslane growing. Celery, trying, but look at purslane. Got geraniums, the pink ones I put in there. I've got fig leaf gourd still growing in there. Oh, milkweed that the butterflies come to all the time coming in here. I might change this up in the spring a little bit. I actually like it. You know why? I don't have to do anything. And it just does its own thing. Pomegranate could use a trimming. Gary picked the last fruit the other day. But I'm just kind of sitting back here and reflecting on the garden. I'm looking at some of the weeds coming out of the ground because we've had rain, though we haven't had rain for days now. And I'm looking at what needs to be done. I need to get those canas out of the chair garden. They're massive and they're literally breaking the tote, but that's okay. It's an old one. It was put there in 2020 and we're going into 2026 now. So you know what? Got that many years out of it. I'm perfectly fine with it. Let it break the tote until I'm ready to get to it. It's an old squash that's laying here. And that one I'll compost. But look at this. This was a tiny plant. This is the canas that Gary bought once and he's been planting them everywhere. I went and picked some that were growing over there in the soil. They come up from the ones that grew there. No, they're suffering there. They're very small compared to the ones that I have picked and planted around because I water them and they do need a lot of water. So they're not getting enough water there. But here, I water this right now with the weather being cooler about twice a week. And look at it, massive. The hummingbirds love the flowers. So I went ahead and I picked a couple. I really should have had a shovel. I just yanked them out of the ground, but that's okay. I got 2 with roots. And the one that doesn't have roots, because I only want to put 2 in a pot. You see how big they get. I'm going to put that in water. If it makes it, it makes it. Doesn't. Look at the roots. Look at the roots. I'm going to put it in that pot and I'm going to bring it to the bird garden. And then eventually when I start to come through here, which could be any time during the winter, I'll start emptying these totes and then I'll pull that massive plant out. I can't remember, but I thought I only put like 1 or 2 little ones in there. I know they were tiny. They were like only that big. Look at that, because Gary warned me. He said, hold on, you can't put those in a tote. They're so big they're gonna break it, and because they get a massive root system. But it's all right. Like I said, it doesn't matter. I'll change that tote out, but I'll take all that out, and I'm gonna bring that into the bird garden. That is just perfect for the hummingbirds. You know what I should do right now? I got seed pods. Gary said oh look, it's full. Hold on. I'm going to sprinkle these around the bird garden, hopefully not in pots that will break. I'll grab a couple of them. Oh my gosh. He pulls them off all the time. I'll just take the whole top off. I don't need it. He said you're supposed to pull them off because when you pull them off, it continues to flower even more. And I didn't pull them off, but I've got black seeds in there. Look at that. You see the seeds? So I can sprinkle them in places that are not totes. And if they are in totes, I'll just dig them up. And I'll get them going in the bird garden since it's one of the hummingbirds' favorite thing. And once you grow them, you can't get rid of them. So that's what I've been doing around here. Look at this. Got to get rid of them. Let me put this down. See? But cool, I've got seeds and they grow really good. See the seeds? Look at them, they're black seeds. They look like pearls. You can probably make jewelry out of them. Look at that. And they're hard as a rock. You're supposed to scrape them. When Gary got them, they said you have to scarify them, which is scrape them so the water can get inside, penetrate, and grow. No, they grow. They grow right away. Gary's got them all over, even in places he doesn't want them. But look at the tomato plant. So what is in that barrel? My neighbor gave me llama manure. Look at the size of the trunk of this tomato. I have no idea what it is. I didn't plant it. I'm going to leave it alone. And if it looks like it's going to continue to do really good, then maybe I'll put some stakes around it and wrap some plastic around it if it gets really cold. But it's really happy right now. I don't even know what's growing in here. Oh, no, it's not pepper tree. More llama manure. I don't use that much. Gary kind of puts it around his gardens, but he got llama manure. This broke down to nothing. Just the whole thing was full and just compacted down, and it's dust. That's water. It's a tote that needs to be emptied. That's the horse manure that we got now. I guess it's going on over a year. So I see we don't use a lot, but he does come through here and shovel it. And that's the wood chips that were delivered. Somebody was working in the area. I had told you about that. I'm not sure how far back. Time is kind of odd right now. I'll sit down for a minute. And then I have hope. These are my apple trees. Well, the other day I saw my friends from over 40 years, and he was telling me he's growing apples. Oh, what kinds of apples? And I said, oh, cool, you bought them? He goes, no. No, he said, no, I eat an apple, I plant the seeds. He puts them in pots, and now he's got apple trees that are over 8 years old. He said they're loaded with apples. And I thought, oh, I have hope. I don't know if these are 8 years old yet, but I was giving up on them. He said, no, don't give up on them. Unfortunately, when you plant them from seed, it takes years and years, 8, 10 years. But now they're growing apples. So we'll see what happens with that. And this is my nectarine. This has been a really nice place for me to sit. Kind of by myself. You can hear nature. You can watch the planes go by. And I thought a few minutes ago I saw a coyote, but he kind of passed on by. And you can just enjoy the garden, even if we are so crazy busy we don't have a lot of time. Let me tell you something, even 10 minutes is really nice just to sit, breathe, and think of all the good things. And there are a lot of good things. I'm fortunate for the property of where I live. I'm fortunate that I'm not a big spender, and neither is Gary, which is really why we get along so well. We're both kind of in the same mind frame. I forgot, somebody brought up recently about our family. My father's grandfather, which was my great-grandfather, whom I remember well, his living, for a living, he was a junk collector. So he used to go around with his vehicle and collect all kinds of junk from the neighborhood. Probably people calling, can you get rid of, like metal, can you get rid of this and get rid of that? My dad would go with him. I remember the stories. My dad was really little, and he had an old trucker car. Must have been a truck. And my dad said, I have to get out and I have to crank that thing for him. And he was little. He must have been like 5 or 6, and he'd crank it, and they'd finally get that engine going, and they would go up and down and pick up all that stuff. And then when they brought it back, he would go through a lot of it, and he would rebuild things. My great-grandfather. At the time, my father's father was not in his life. So it was his great-grandfather was like a father to him. And that's where my dad got the trade, or I should say the hobby or expertise of picking up things and rebuilding things. I can remember the first bicycle I had. No, it would have been the second. The first one would have been a tricycle. I remember having a tricycle. But the first 2-wheel bike with the training wheels, my dad built. Out of scraps, I think people threw away bikes and put them on the curb when the trash day was there, and he'd bring them home. And I remember he built me a small bike. I wasn't real big. Because later on I got bigger. I was riding it all over. I said, Dad, it is just way too small for me. He got on it and rode up and down the neighborhood, the sidewalk, back and forth. He came back. His legs couldn't even pedal that thing. He said, if I can ride it, I'm sure you can. And I did for years, and then finally I got a bike. But that was many years later. So that trait that I have of picking up things, which I have, and I always have, rebuilding and putting things together and repurposing and recycling and upcycling comes from my bloodline and stuff that I watched my dad do over the years. And Gary's got the same thing because his family did the same. When something was tossed out, it was something they could use, they'd take it home, they'd rebuild it. So Gary and I both do that. Probably the chairs. Remember the chairs? A lot of these were bought really cheap. Oh my goodness, 20-something years ago. Used to be able to get these plastic chairs at the grocery store. They'd have them out front for like $2 and $3. And my daughter bought a whole bunch and she wanted them out. And yes, these chairs are old. Well, people threw them out too. So I bring them home from the trash as well because the plastic resin starts to break down. It gets all over your hands white. So I found that you can get the tester paint for 50 cents. All these were painted. Oh my gosh. In, let's see, 2020 this was built, but it was probably 5 to 10 years before that. And I brought him back here. She wanted him out. And I painted him with tester paint. The only newest one is that green one from 2020, but the rest of them were from 5 to 10 years before. I found out you can paint them with tester paint that you can get cheap at the hardware store, like Home Depot had it for 50 cents. Lowe's has it too periodically, but usually they want $1. And it would hold house paint, indoor, outdoor, it didn't matter. It's still holding. These have never been repainted. So I'd paint them up. I'd use them for different things. And then I started doing chair gardens, long before 2020. It's elevated. I don't have to bend down. You don't have to worry about gophers. Most of the squirrels won't jump on them. If they do, put a little tulle around it, that fabric. Rabbits, of course, can't get into it. It works perfect. So that's what I've been doing. Just thinking about things. We're going to hit winter fairly soon. Not yet, but within weeks. And we'll see how our winter goes. And I'm just going to be, as my dad would say, putzing around the garden and doing different things. And you'll be watching me do different things. I got to go plant these in a few minutes, the canas. I'm going to put those in the bird garden in that pot. I'm going to leave them in the pot, let them grow their roots out. So I have them contained if I wanted to lift them out. And separate them too. I think they spread. So I could do a lot of different things with them. You see those little pieces of grass? Let me zoom in for a minute. This is funny. That's where the squirrels load up their cheeks with seeds, any seeds, usually coming into the bird garden, and then they dig a hole and they bury them and they never go back to get their seeds. And then they grow. Somebody told me they've got them all over their property. And I said, you know what? They're great. You just grab them by the handful, pull them out and throw them in pots. They're instant green fertilizer or plant food. You use it as soil. It breaks down in the compost. So I love those. I'll be pulling those out. But you'll see me doing different things all winter because I do work here all winter. I want to set up a lot for the warblers. We've got hundreds of warblers here, all different types. So I want to get that for them because if I set up containers, it could be a bucket, it could be a tote with things that are breaking down like leaves or kitchen scraps. Then the little maggots on the top, all types of maggots, fruit fly maggots, regular fly maggots, whatever's around, they'll jump in there and they'll eat it all. It gives them a lot of good food and protein. Keeps them nice and fat for the winter, the birds, and they love it. So I want to get more of those set up in different places. Well, I'm going to go get my stuff done. And I've got milkweed growing under here too. I don't know what this plant is in the front, the little bushy one, but I like it. It's a native type plant. I'm trying to get a couple of those situated. They're really odd. They got a big taproot. And if you pull them out, dig them out, not pull them like I've done, but dig them out, they still don't seem to make it. They don't transplant easily, but I've got a couple in pots that came up. They're just a big green bush, which means they're drought tolerant. So I want to get those moved and kept for the wildlife. I'll see what they grow into it. Mainly it's a little round green leaf, and I think they might get little flowers on them later. All right, well, I'm going to get back to work, do my stuff. Look how green it is still. We still have tomatoes. Let me tell you about tomatoes. We will grow tomatoes in the winter, but I have noticed that any tomatoes you grow, and here for me, whether you try to grow them in the house, which I've grown some in the windowsill, or grow them outside, will never taste as good as the ones in the spring and the summer and into the fall. There's just something about them. They're sometimes got a thick skin or they get bitter. You can cook with them and do other things with them. But to drag tomatoes in, unless you've got a beautiful greenhouse type setup in the house, which I think I could do if I wanted to, they just don't taste the same. But I will tell you, you could pick them and just throw them in cups and just let them rot. Don't worry about it. And then come spring, you can throw them wherever you want and they'll grow into beautiful tomatoes. I'm going to leave you with that. So with that, have a wonderful day. Don't forget to eat what you grow. Just wanted to check in and say hello. And I'm going to go get these cannas planted in the bird garden so they'll turn into big, beautiful plants like the ones I planted in my tote that got really big and busted the tote to pieces. So be it. What is it? $6, $7? I don't care. I got beautiful flowers now. And I'll redo the whole thing. Fresh for spring.